Hey folks, Rob back for another Rob Plays, and this time we're looking at the Movie Monster game, developed and published by Epyx in 1986. Now, I actually have some memories of this one as a kid. Not really playing it myself, but rather seeing it on relatives' machines. And so I eventually had to hunt it down, although I've got it on tape, and for the sake of all our sanities, mine and yours, we'll be playing it off disc. The ultimate serving very handy here. Anyway, the idea of the game is you get to basically be something, be a movie monster, trashing cities. So there are 6 monsters available. Godzilla, who's actually officially licensed, which is really cool. They actually licensed him. And then they created 5 others. We've got Mr. Marine, which we can sort of see what that's a parody of. Spectra, which I think is a take on Mothra. I'm not the biggest monster movie person, by the way, so... Hopefully, the Glog, obviously the Blob. Mechatron, which is, I guess... I'm not sure that's just, probably just giant robot stuff. And Tarantus. Okay. So the idea is you get to pick one of those monsters. Like, Godzilla is slow, lumbering, but can do a lot of damage and can regenerate pretty quickly. Mechatron can't repair at all, even though it's got some powerful weapons, like its melee power attacks and its lasers. So they've all got different abilities and structures. And then you've got 6 cities. So you've got San Fran, Tokyo, because of course you've got to from Giant Monster movie, Paris, London, New York, and Moscow. So you and then you've got 5 different scenarios to play through. Escape, which is basically you start in the city and you just have to get to the borders without being killed. Lunch, which is basically about attacking people, eating people as much as you want until you are full, and then you got to escape. Search, which is basically your child is being kidnapped by the people and you've got to just go on a rampage through the town to find them and escape. Destroy Landmark, which is similar to Search in that you've got to find a specific point on the map and destroy it. And finally, Berserk, which is just all out. So we'll do that. That's a good combo. Let's start. So at this point, once you've selected a monster, we're now loading in. I actually really like the presentation. You got that sort of, the outside scene there, outside the cinema. Now we're in the cinema, and we'll let this sequence run. It sort of builds up the atmosphere and the flavour, which I really like. And, this is an American game from '86, so obviously they're assuming 100% disc only, so they can do that. Gummy Glogs, I love that. Popcorn. Great games from Epyx. Well, actually, there are. Well, we'll see. Sure. Some games 1 too. Yeah, both of those are pretty great. Let's keep going. Super Cycle. I have a fond spot for Super Cycle, so yeah, I consider that great. Let's keep going. Winter Games. Not as much a fan of it compared to summer games. One day I'll get around to it. World Karate Championship, which is of course the US name for the original International Karate. So yeah, that's pretty great. World Games. Like Winter Games, it's not quite as good in my book. Maybe I'll get to that one day as well. And now our feature presentation. It was a peaceful day in Moscow. Birds were singing. Children laughed. Lovers strolled through the park. Then the calm was broken by the ominous beating of giant wings high above. Spectra had arrived. No one knows what set him off, but something's eating at him. He craves destruction. He will crush and blast and stay until his anger is appeased. Now we load, so... Unsurprisingly, disc change time. And this is something that gets really fiddly, because you... because you basically need to flip the disc constantly. And if you're playing on cassette, it's got to go through and find the entire, find the monster, find the city, and load the scenario data. So it gets really fiddling. Anyway, so now... So a Spectra, one of the things you can do is take off. So now I'm high above the Moscow. So Atomize is useful because that actually you can blast helicopters and stuff. what you want to do is really just, well, in this case, like I said, it's all about just I can't do much here, so I'm going to have to... Oh, I wasn't above. Take off land. So you can sort of see the general idea is to generally cause havoc. I mean, Spectra's probably not. No, we don't want to leave the city yet. Problem is, I think in some regards, Spectra's probably not my best pick for this scenario. Just because Spectra doesn't really have good destructive capabilities against the buildings. But anyway, I think it's equivalent because I'm in the air, so I've got to land. So use the spacebar to toggle your action. Fire button then actually uses said action. Cool, we just atomized a helicopter. I've never gotten that trick to work. So when your action is like blue, that really means that you can't use it right at this point. So I can use my scream now and terrify people. Oh, I'm actually losing endurance by ramming buildings. That's no good. So it sort of ramps up. I think being Spectre here is not working that well, so... Crush, there was a tank. Crushed by my mighty sonic weapon. So the big thing with Spectre here is that they're probably the fastest of the monsters in the game, so they won't really heal that quickly, but they can move about the fastest, especially when they've taken off and gone into the air. I think this was not the best scenario set up to do, so let me... Yeah. So... like, in it, you're supposed to do that scenario until you die. Let me swap discs. Disc. And so, other scenarios can, you know, have a dedicated objective. That one's really about until you die, so it wasn't really the best combo. But we'll let the thing. Moscow has withstood some heavy damage, and a state of emergency is declared. Long will the people curse the day Spectra entered their fair city. And there's your final score. And I love this because it's got that sort of movie feel, so... we'll get... and then the credits... actually, it shows the credits. I skipped those. It shows everyone's credits, which is a nice way to do it like a movie. Now we load up. And we get to pretty much do it again. So, it's... there's not much of a there's not much... like... the gameplay stuff is fairly plotting, as you can sort of see. Let's do something that feels more appropriate. Because let's face it, you've licensed Godzilla. Yeah, you want to do that. Action. Actually, escape might be good. So here we're in Tokyo. We've got to escape before the army kills us. I guess it should be self-defense force. I really love the presentation of, like, even the documentation is really good, and it talks about a bunch of iconic monster movies. It talks about all the specs and capabilities of all the missions, the little maps. There's little details, and it's well produced for the era. I think it's just the gameplay gets really plotting, and we'll see it even more playing Godzilla, who is actually the slowest creature in the game. We don't need to see the game previews. For millions of years, he slumbered deep beneath the ocean. Untold generations of humans lived and died while he slept, infesting the planet like scurrying ants. Playing with fire, the people detonated a nuclear device, violently ending his long hibernation. Still groggy from his long sleep, he stumbled forth to check out the commotion, and was captured by a group of scientists observing the after effects of the blast. Now fully alert, he has torn free from his bonds and is loose in the middle of Tokyo with one thought on his walnut-sized brain. Escape. So let's flip the disc and proceed to escape as the mighty Godzilla. See, it's this, like, oh, I was playing this now, and even playing it for research, the one thing that comes to mind is, it really feels like a game that is a really cool concept, that just lives down in execution. And I'm sure that this came out really in the aftermath of Rampage hitting the arcades, and it wasn't long before we get Rampage on the micros. And oh, look at that building go down. So you can sort of see, like, we've been in this scenario less than a minute, and poor Godzilla is almost dead. And that's game over. 52 seconds. And that is really the big frustration, is like, because what's supposed to happen if you don't get hit? You recharge, which is fine. But, yeah, you can't really do that, so you get pummeled out quite a bit. That disc, which is a bit underwhelming. And this is something that was highlighted in the reviews. I did read Zap's review, they gave it 70-odd%, and I think that's about right. It's sort of like, the concept is solid, but everything else falls apart. Ooh, we got the story. There's a thunderous boom as tons of dinosaur meat crash onto the street. But Godzilla can never really die. One day, the mighty lizard will roar again. The final score, 135. Terrible run. And that's sort of, like, it's, like, you know, as that reviewer is saying, is that really it's a very interesting concept, but it's a little too slow-paced. Like, what you really want in a game like this is you want it to be fast. You want it to be furious. And honestly, as I was sort of saying before, Rampage really takes the concept of what this game wanted to do and really made it good fun. Rampage, of course, is a great arcade game, and even converted great to the home micros. I haven't done it on the 64 yet, or any machine, but it's one that's good fun. I've always enjoyed playing it. Even there's a game called Rampart. No, it's Rampart. I got my name confused. Rampart is the tower one by Atari, which I'd love to come on one day if I ever got a copy of the game. Rampart, which is basically Rampage goes medieval. And it's not great, but it's fun in its own way. Oh gosh, I'd love to hunt. I've never seen a proper copy of that. I've only ever seen it in a compilation. Yeah, so you got the credits rolling, kind of like you'd expect for a movie. Which, again, I like the presentation. This game is really about its presentation and about the concept more than the actual gameplay of being a monster wrecking, just sowing destruction in cities. And that is a little underwhelming in the long run. It's really nicely presented, but the concept is just a bit underbaked, which is a shame, because I think if they had made it a little more action-packed rather than a little more simmy, it probably would have been fun. Like, imagine being able to, like, not being constrained to, like, you know, a simple horizontal plane like in Rampage, being able to go around that city and cause havoc. It would be great. But alas, sometimes things don't go to plan. It is worth noting it definitely came out in the Apple II and the PC, because the documentation does mention those. I don't think it came out on any other machines, which is a bit of a shame, but probably understandable why. Wasn't the most remembered of Epyx games. It is also a bit of a follow-up to Crush, Crumble, and Chomp. I think I got that right, which is a very, very early release from Epyx, back when they were automated simulation. So it's a little more strategic than this. This is sort of more, almost simious, you might point out. It's not the best, but I hope you enjoyed the look at it anyway. It's one that, again, it's not really a very popular concept, a very popular title, but hey, there it is. It's interesting enough to check out. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please do consider leaving a thumbs up. It really helps the bots do their thing. And if you've got any thoughts or questions about this one, if you've played, especially if you played on any of the other machines, hey, let me know in the comments down below. I do enjoy reading those. After that, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.